Greetings, new cadets. I'm Captain Colburn. I'm one of the instructors here at Air Force ROTC Detachment 290 at UK. And today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the ROTC program, how it's structured, what it is and what it isn't, and some of the expectations that we have for you all here in Air Force ROTC. And just want to remind you that there's a whole series of these orientation videos for you to watch. So please make sure that you watch them all in their entirety before your first day at Air Force ROTC. And I think it's going to be very helpful and hopefully answer all your questions that you have about the program before you start. However, if you don't get your question answered in these videos, let us know. I will have my email at the end of this video for you to use. But I would encourage you to watch all the videos first before you reach out and contact anybody. And we should be having a GMC cadet, General Military Course cadet, reach out to you and be your cadet mentor for the summer. So if you have any questions whatsoever about being a cadet and what it's like, make sure you get in touch with them and let them know that you have questions, and they're more than happy to talk to you. So, all right, so this lesson, let's get right into it. What is Air Force ROTC? And to best understand that, we need to talk about our mission here. So our mission with Air Force ROTC is to develop premier leaders of character for the Air Force. And what does that mean? Well, this is a professional development program. It's not just a character building program or community service type program like junior ROTC and Civil Air Patrol cadet programs are. This is taking it to the next level. So because we are intending to commission our graduates as second lieutenants in the active duty military, we have some very high standards, and we have everybody adhere to those standards in order to complete the program and to go on into a military career. So what is Air Force ROTC? It's a commissioning program, and it stands for Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps. It's a 4-year leadership program, and it's available in over 146 detachments throughout the country in Puerto Rico, and we service over 1,000 different universities and colleges. So here at UK, we're based at UK, but we work with surrounding institutions like Transy, Georgetown, Midway, Asbury, KSU, Center, EKU, lots of other schools in the area that BCTC that can come here and participate in our detachment like any UK student. So the program itself is broken up into several different parts, and it's a classroom portion which takes place once a week. And you also have a once a week leadership lab, and twice a week you have physical training, or PT as we call it. So again, the goal is to commission you as a second lieutenant, which is an officer, into the active duty Air Force once you graduate and complete all the Air Force ROTC requirements. So you can go Air Force or Space Force now. It just depends on the job that you have. So Space Force is brand new and it's growing. So there's only a limited number of career fields that can go into the Space Force at this time. So depending which way you want to go, if you have a career that can go either way, if you want to join the Space Force when it comes time, you will be able to do that. And depending again on the job that you will have a service commitment to the Air Force from anything from 4 to 10 years, depending on the job. So the active duty life video, which will be at the end of this series, will address everything that you need to know about what it's like to be on active duty in the Air Force. And it will also talk about all the commitments and everything that go along with the jobs, why certain jobs have more or less of a commitment than others. So watch that video and you'll be good to go. The time commitment as a cadet, it varies just based on how involved you want to be in the detachment. Okay, so the minimum requirement is 5 to 6 hours per week, just based on class time, PT, lead lab, that kind of stuff. If you want to be more involved, you can be, and we'll talk about some different extracurricular activities at toward the end of this video to give you an opportunity to really, become a part of the detachment. All right. So when I say commissioning program, what do I actually mean? Well, first off, we should probably talk about what it means to be commissioned or enlisted in the military. Enlisting doesn't require a bachelor's degree. That's something that you can do right out of high school. And I'm sure probably some of your friends have already done that. So enlisting, roughly about 80% of the United States Air Force is enlisted. They are the backbone of our service branch, and we rely on them very heavily. So that leaves about 20% are commissioned officers. So officers require a bachelor's degree at least and require a commission. And a commission is the authority that you're granted by the President of the United States to lead and command. So your enlisted troops, once they get higher in rank, they can supervise other enlisted, they can lead, they can be in charge of stuff, but they can't command, right? That's the authority granted through the commission that you receive as an officer. So that's kind of the difference. It's a different level of responsibility and different expectations from enlisted to commissioning. So in order to commission as an officer in the Air Force, we have 3 different ways for you to do that. Probably the most famous way is through the Air Force Academy out in Colorado. And that is a service academy like West Point or Annapolis. And it's very prestigious. It's very hard to get into because they only have a certain number of seats per class per year. So it's, as you might imagine, it's very highly selective and very limited, but prestigious in terms of it's a big deal to get selected to go there. It's a big deal to, complete the academy. It's a 4-year training environment where you're in the uniform all the time. So for me, commissioning sources, picking the right one for you is really more about the journey that you want to have on your way to a commission. So with the Air Force Academy, if you're willing to go through that, it's extremely intense 4-year experience. And if that's the experience that you want on your way to an active duty military career, then by all means, that's the way that you should go. You might still be considering that, and maybe you're just doing ROTC for a year while you reapply to the academy. That's fine. But it's also very important that you know that the 3 of these sources get you to the exact same point. Okay, so the next one, we'll talk about that in a second. The next one is ROTC, and again, it's all over the country, and it can be a somewhat more flexible version of a commissioning source. So the days that you have ROTC stuff like class or lead lab or whatever, you're in uniform for that. But on days that you don't have ROTC stuff, you get to wear your normal clothes, you get to go do your normal stuff that you want to do on campus, and you have a more traditional college experience. And for some people, that's really important. And again, that comes down strictly to preference, right? ROTC gets you to the exact same point that the academy does, and that's as a 2nd lieutenant in the United States Air Force. All right, that's your dude in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, raising his hand and taking his oath. He's wearing that gold bar. That means that he's now a 2nd lieutenant. So all these places get you there. And that 3rd one, the last one, if you're on the fence about ROTC, or maybe you can't be in the program long enough in order to complete it, there's the Officer Training School, or OTS, down at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And that's how I commissioned. And that's for folks that already have their bachelor's degree and want to get a commission. So you go down there, it's like officer basic training. It's a 9-week program these days, and you go down there and you get yelled at for a few weeks and you complete everything that you need to do down there, and then you commission at the end of it. Why do we have 3 different sources? And it's because we want people with different experiences. We want people with different perspectives, and we want what we call diversity of thought. Okay, so if we wanted everybody to look the same, sound the same, think the same, we would all have just one giant Air Force Academy, right? We just have one commissioning source and everybody goes through there. But we don't want that, because we value diversity, whether it's actual diversity, like, different backgrounds, ethnicity, that kind of stuff, and diversity of thought too. So diversity of thought is through having people with just different backgrounds and different experiences. And you get those folks by having multiple different commissioning sources, okay? So if we all think the same, because we all went to the Air Force Academy, then maybe we don't have the same ability to solve a unique problem that maybe somebody who went through officer training school or ROTC had, and vice versa. So that's why we value having multiple different sources to commissioning, and why we use them. So, and very important to note, in case you're wondering, one is not more important or better than the other. So if you're thinking that you need to go to the academy because you want to promote faster or get better jobs or make general one day, it doesn't matter. So again, academy, ROTC, OTS, they all get you to that one point of that gold bar, 2nd lieutenant, and from there, once you're commissioned and once you're on active duty, nobody cares about where you went to school and where you got your commission, right? It is completely based on your performance. So if somebody went to the academy and is a mediocre officer, somebody from OTS or ROTC can definitely outperform them on active duty and make general one day or make full colonel one day, while that other, academy person only, gets to major because they just don't perform on active duty. So you don't get promotion favors, you don't get better jobs for going to one commissioning source over the other. So it's very important to know you all get to the exact same point. All right, why is ROTC a great idea? Again, it depends on the journey that you want to take on your way to a commission and the experience that you want during college. So kind of the nice thing is that if you do ROTC and you complete the program, you know what you're going to go do for the next few years, and you're not committed to doing a full 20 years in the military, okay? Again, 4 to 10 years based on what type of job that you have, right? But you don't have to worry about filling out job applications and where you're going to live in a couple of months and all this stuff, because that's all going to be decided before you graduate. So you're going to know. And I got a business degree. I did not do ROTC. And I remember how stressful that was when I went to graduate. I kind of just thought, well, I'm a great student and everybody's going to be out there lining up to hire me. And they don't do that. You can be an amazing student and you still have to go through that whole stressful mess of having to fill out job applications and take interviews and do that for months or a year or more, depending on the person and their circumstance. So that can be pretty tough, but you don't have to worry about that if you commission through ROTC because you know where you're going to go. More immediately, this program can have amazing benefits for you as a college student. Okay, so you have the long-term benefit of a career, right? For however long you want to have the career, or, well, and I should say, and this benefits you as a college student right away. And it does that because we promote confidence. And we do that through many different ways, as I say right there on the slide. We work on your leadership skills, we work on your writing skills, attention to detail, public speaking. People hate public speaking, but guess what? You're going to be doing a lot of it in this program, and you're going to get good at it. So, and any cadet will tell you that's been in the program, it gets better. The more you do it, the easier it is. Time management skills are incredibly important in the military, and they're incredibly important in school, right? So you have a lot of stuff coming at you. For most of you, this is going to be a huge transition coming out of high school and going into college. You're responsible for yourself for possibly the first time ever. You need to learn how to manage your time. And it sounds simple, and it's not. But we're going to teach you some different ways to handle that, different things that you want to consider, different techniques that you can try to see what works for you. And we're going to make it so that you can manage your time and manage your schedule so that you can get the most out of ROTC and get the most out of college. Teamwork kind of goes without saying. The military is a team. And if you're thinking, well, I've been on sports teams or I've been in, different organizations, got it. You've had some experience so far. Awesome. We're going to take that to the next level here in ROTC. And decision making, quite probably the most important aspects of being an officer is being able to make decisions. So I've told folks, you might make the right decision and somebody still gets hurt, or something bad still happens. You might make the wrong decision and something bad might happen. If you make no decision whatsoever, especially in the military, pretty much guaranteed something bad is going to happen. So that's why it's important to be able to make good decisions and take the information that you have at that time and examine it and make the best decision that you can with the information that you possess at that time. And again, so all that stuff makes you a more efficient college student. It's going to help you study. It's going to help you manage all your test schedules, everything like that a lot better. And it's going to make you a little bit more social and help you get more involved with the campus as well. So skills for college, very good. And then summer internships. So we have a lot of different opportunities through the Air Force, paid for by the Air Force. You don't have to spend any money on it. During the summer to get you out to Air Force bases and spend a couple of weeks out on Air Force Base to meet all the different units, check out their aircraft, learn about their engineering unit, their security forces unit. You'll see the entire base, right? And learn about active duty life. So there's that. There's other competitive opportunities that you can get for internships as well. And all that, again, just to explore what life on active duty might look like and to see what jobs you might want to, put in for when it comes time. And the flight programs, we have several. We do need pilots right now. And for the record, not all of the Air Force flies. Only a small percentage of the Air Force are actually pilots. So if you're not interested in aviation, you're not interested in flying, that is 100% okay. We still would love for you to be a part of this program because we have every job under the sun in the Air Force. If you're into communications or computer engineering, computer science, marketing, business, finance, social work, medical fields, anything like that, we have that in the Air Force too. We'd love to talk to you. But if you are interested in flying, we do have opportunities to get you in an aircraft to see if you like it. And if you do like it, we have opportunities through the You Can Fly program to apply for money from the Air Force to help pay for a private pilot's license through any approved flight school. So that is a great program, and we'll teach you all about those opportunities. Additional benefits, we'll talk about scholarships more in depth a little bit later in this video, but we do have scholarship opportunities. Some of you are coming in on the high school scholarship, and for those of you who are not, you may have the opportunity to compete for an in-college scholarship later, but we'll talk about those details in a minute. All of our contracted cadets. So if you are on a scholarship or you are an upperclassman, you will be given a stipend. And that's a monthly stipend, anywhere from $300 a month for our contracted freshmen through $500 a month for our contracted seniors. And it's tax-free, and any little bit of money helps, right? So that you might use that for your gas money or to help pay rent, or if you're not staying on campus or whatever. So that's a nice little benefit of being a contracted cadet. And of course, being in the military, we are going to teach you how to be physically fit. So we do PT twice a week, but we expect that everybody works out in addition to that. So if you're not in any kind of physical training program right now, you should be looking at getting into one this summer so that when you arrive here in the fall, you're fit and you're ready to go. All right, we will be taking a PT test in the fall. It's a 1.5 mile run, push-ups and sit-ups. And the cadets are going to talk to you all about fitness requirements in another video, a separate video. And it'll help you learn more about how to get started into a physical training plan. But we're going to help you work on that too in this program. And finally, kind of goes without saying, but you're going to learn how to build and lead successful teams. Right? And it's great if you have leadership experience. It's great if you've had team experience so far. If you have, we're going to build on it. And if you haven't had that experience yet, we're going to teach you what it's like and how to do it well. So the Air Force ROTC curriculum, this is kind of what it looks like. So for our new folks coming in, you will be in the Aerospace Studies AFS 111 class. I am your instructor for that class in the fall. It's a weekly classroom. It's only once a week. It's a 1 credit-hour course, and it's 50 minutes for each class. And we talk about heritage and values. So that means the Air Force history, where we came from, where we're going, as well as just basic leadership concepts. Start talking about what leadership is, what followership is, why it's important, and kind of just give you a basis and a foundation of knowledge for you to build on as you go through the program. And then you have your AFS 112, which is the leadership lab, and that is on Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. or in military speak from 1600 to 1800. And that's again once a week on Thursdays, and it's a weekly 2-hour lab with the entire cadet wing. So your upperclassmen, specifically the seniors, with the help of the juniors, will plan and execute every single lead lab. That is their responsibility. And instructors like myself, we're there to evaluate everybody. So at lead lab, you're going to be working on leadership and followership skills. You're going to, again, be in your team, and you're going to have to work through problem solving stuff, teamwork exercises, that kind of thing, and work on your decision-making skills. And we'll do lots of hands-on activities to make sure you get that opportunity. And some of the lead labs might be, more discussion-based, depending on the day, and kind of depending what we're able to do with the whole coronavirus situation in the fall. So we're going to try to maximize the activity side of it, because that's more fun, and we enjoy that a lot more than just sitting and talking. But there will be the occasional sitting and talking as well. Drill and ceremony, that is kind of like the traditional military ceremonies that we do, like marching. Okay, so you will learn how to march, and it's not because we use marching on active duty, it's because you learn so much through marching, whether you're being marched or you're marching a team, right? So followership and leadership opportunities and skills, and learning to multitask and to be confident and to think ahead. You know, it doesn't seem like that bad, but when you're marching a flight of 12 or 15 people around the campus, you have to think ahead of where you're going. Where's the next turn? Is there an obstacle in the way? Is there a truck parked where you're trying to go? Are there people congregating in the way? How do you navigate that stuff? Is everybody marching correctly? You're gonna have to be doing that with instructors and senior level cadets watching your every single move. So that can be kind of stressful, but that's how we kind of see how you perform under pressure. And then PT twice a week. And for this semester, it's going to be on Monday and Wednesday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m. And in the spring, hopefully we can go back to Monday mornings and Thursday evenings after lead lab, but we're going to see. That's the goal. But for right now, it's going to be Monday and Wednesday mornings. Okay, the AFS classes, that's what they look like for the rest of the program. So again, your 100 level course, heritage and values. Your 200 year, we talk a lot more about leadership scenarios, leadership styles, how you're going to have to change and adapt your leadership style depending on the team that you're leading or the situation that you're in. So you can't just say, this is my one leadership style and this is how I operate. It doesn't work like that. So depending if you get different team members in there, now it's a different dynamic, or you're in a more pressure situation, you might have to take a different type of approach in order to lead and be more direct. So it just depends on the situation, and it depends on the team that you're leading. So you will learn all about the leadership fundamentals in your 200 year, so that when you go down to field training, which we'll talk about, you can be evaluated on what you've learned in your sophomore year. Okay, so now in the upperclassmen half of the program, it's a 3 credit hour course once a week, and we talk more about practical skills that you're going to be using on active duty. How to supervise people, okay? How to give feedback, when to give feedback, how to communicate a vision for the unit, how to conduct change in the unit and how that's done, how to deal with if there's a problem within the unit, whether it's personalities or a culture issue, how do you correct that? So that's a lot of stuff that we talk about in the 300 class, which I'm also the instructor for, and the 400 year, your senior year, we talk about national security strategy, leadership responsibilities in the unit, stuff that's more heavily focused on the active duty side so that you have that knowledge right before you go off and join the military. All right. So again, Air Force ROTC is traditionally, it's a 4-year program. We can shrink it down to 3 by combining the 100 and the 200 years, and you do both classes at the same time that first year, but it is a traditionally 4-year program. It can't be shortened any more than 3 years because you do have the requirement to be in the second half of the program for 2 years. So it's broken into 2 halves. We have the general military course, or the GMC, and that is for 100s and 200s/250s. 250s being the folks that are joining and doing the 3-year program. So you're combining the 100 year and the 200 year. We call those folks 250s. So you all will be known as GMC cadets. And as a GMC cadet, your focus is basically on getting familiar with leadership fundamentals, working on your followership skills, and learning about being in ROTC and knowing what the expectations are and adapting to the environment. And that's really your goal in your role as a GMC cadet. And then the last 2 years of the program are known as the Professional Officer Course, or the POC. So they're known as POC cadets. So those are your juniors and your seniors. And this is a selective program. You have to be selected to go to field training. You have to complete field training. You know, if you wash out of field training and don't make it through, then you can't be a POC cadet. You can't continue in the program. So the POC, it is a selective half of the program. And that's because we're preparing folks, again, to go on to active duty in the military and supervise and lead 80% of the Air Force. So that's why this is a selective and professional development program. So the POC cadets do hold leadership roles in the detachment. They will be responsible for GMC cadets, whether it's directly supervising them or planning and executing different events that we do throughout the year. So POC have a lot of responsibility, and again, we're evaluating everybody. We're evaluating the GMC on how well you adapt to the program. We're evaluating the POC on how well they plan and execute and supervise and lead, right? So that's how that one works. Field training is a popular topic amongst our cadets and probably cadets around the country, I'm sure. So this is it's not really a capstone event because it takes place halfway through the program. But this is the event that kind of decides whether or not you're going to continue in Air Force ROTC. And it is selective. So before we talk about the program itself, your spring semester of your sophomore year, your 200 year, you will do something called the POC selection process, or PSP board. And that's a selection board that's conducted down at headquarters, and they look at your entire record and they look at your recommendations and how you have performed, and they will decide whether or not you get to go to field training. So if you're not a great cadet, you can't pass a PT test, or you're barely passing PT tests, your GPA is very low, you don't have a good commander's ranking, because we rank all of our cadets based on their merit and how they perform in the program, and if you don't have a very high ranking, it's not very good, you probably won't get selected to go to field training. And at that point, even if you're on a scholarship, you will be cut from the program. And that PSP selection process, so you get something called an enrollment allocation, or an EA. And that EA basically is your ticket to field training and your ticket to continuing in the program. And it's typically, it can be based on how many people that we need in the Air Force. And it can be, 85% selection rate, which is relatively high, or it can be actually much lower, which makes it much more competitive. So that's why when you come to the program, you need to make sure your GPA is good, your fitness is outstanding. Don't shoot for the 75 passing score, shoot for the 90 plus excellent score, right? That's stuff that you can kind of control in terms of getting the EA. So once you have your EA, you've been selected, now you're going to go to field training over the summer between your sophomore and your junior year. And that will be scheduled according to when you're available, and it will be paid for by the Air Force. So they will fly you down to Alabama. It's currently a 13-day evaluation, and you're going to be evaluated at field training on your leadership potential. So all the stuff that you learned in your first 2 years of the program, and especially the leadership information that you learned as a sophomore, you're going to be evaluated on that through a lot of hands-on activities. So you're going to go down there, you're going to be put into a flight with cadets you've never met before from all over the country. And for those 13 days, you're going to work together as a team, and you're going to rotate through leadership positions. Everybody's going to get into a leadership position, and they're going to evaluate you on how well you perform in that position. So it's very important that you pass field training, because again, if you don't pass field training, then you're going to get cut from the program and not be able to continue. And field training, it's very fun in that you get to go down there and kind of do a lot of what's in that photo right there, what we call expeditionary skills. So we're going to pretend like you're in the military and you're going to go deploy to a location, and you're going to go camp in the woods for a couple of days and defend the base. You're going to have different problem solving, group work type stuff and scenarios that you have to go through each day. And it's very interesting. It's challenging. It's fast paced. It's only 13 days. But it's very important, again, for continuing in the program, that you go down there and you do well. So you do have to attempt the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test before you go to field training, preferably pass it. But if you don't pass it before you go to field training, you have to pass it before you can actually be a POC cadet. So, all right, that's field training. Very fun. Scholarships. So some of you are coming in on a high school scholarship, and that is eligible for anybody who's not had any full-time college. So if any of you are watching this and you're not currently coming to UK or any of our schools this fall, maybe you're watching it for next year. If you're a rising high school senior, you're still eligible, and go to airforcerotc.com to learn more about it. But most of you are watching this because you're coming in this fall and joining us this fall. So those that are not currently on scholarship, first off, you don't have to be on scholarship to complete this program. So that's totally fine. But if you're interested in competing for one, there are many requirements, and the in-college scholarship program is highly competitive. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a scholarship, and nobody's entitled to a scholarship. So if you meet some of the minimum requirements that we have here, you have to be an enrolled cadet, you have to be a freshman or a sophomore, you have to have at least a 3.0 college GPA of at least one term, SAT scores have to be at least 1100, or on the Air Force officer qualifying test, you have to have at least a 39. 50 on the AFROTC on any section is considered average and good, but 39 plus is the minimum. You have to be medically qualified through the Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board, or the DODMERB, and everybody has to have that completed before you either compete for a scholarship or you compete to go to field training. So it's very important that you get the DODMERB done as soon as possible, and if you drag your feet on it, you risk not going on in the program. And of course, with the passing fitness score, again, don't shoot for the 75, shoot for the 90 plus. So that's stuff that makes you more competitive for a scholarship. For the in-college scholarship, you have to be nominated, so you can meet all those requirements. And if you're not a good cadet, you're not a team player, you have a bad attitude, you don't really seem like you want to be here, you're not going to get nominated. So those are kind of the qualities that we look for. You have a great attitude, you try hard, you're a good teammate, you look out for your teammates, you look for feedback, you look to improve, and you're a great member of the detachment, and you meet all of those requirements down there. A couple different types of scholarships depending on what's available and what kind of major you are. And if you're a nursing major, let us know if you're interested in competing, because we have nursing scholarships available as well. Okay, again, highly competitive, not guaranteed. Extracurricular activities, we have several within the detachment. If you are interested in kind of the ceremonial side of Air Force ROTC, we have the color guard, and they present the colors, which is the flags, at different sporting events around UK and maybe other events around the UK campus as well. So very interesting. I love drill and ceremony. I love marching. I love the ceremonial side of the Air Force. And color guard, they do a lot of practicing to get really precise at what they do so that they look really great representing the Air Force and representing the ROTC program around campus. So if you're interested in doing that, you can volunteer for color guard. We have the flight orientation program that we partner with local civil air patrol units who have aircraft, and just to get you up in an airplane and see if you like it and see if maybe you want to pursue a pilot spot one day. And so there are also volunteer opportunities with the civil air patrol if you want to do that as well. Arnold Air Society, it's kind of like a club for Air Force ROTC cadets, and you do have to compete to get in there. So you will spend the first several weeks of the program doing extra PT, learning extra knowledge, and really being challenged in order to be accepted into Arnold Air Society. But once you're in there, it's an incredibly supportive and great organization. And if you're looking for kind of a family, in addition to being in the detachment, you want something that's a little bit more challenging. You really love the military stuff and you want something that's a little bit more hardcore, then you should look at Arnold Air Society. And then we have Silver Wings, which is a community organization that we have that partners Air Force ROTC cadets with civilian counterparts around the community to work on different projects. So the point of Silver Wings is to help bridge that gap between the military and the civilian sector. So they work together very well to help, whether it's projects on or around campus, around the community, anywhere. Very important because as an active duty officer, you're going to be doing that a lot for real. So Silver Wings has a lot of really great practical skill that you can learn that will transfer right away into your Air Force career. So I highly recommend those guys. And here's just some photos of like our cadets from the last year or two and the different activities that we've done. That center photo is from a base visit down in Virginia. from last year. That's a T-38 training aircraft in the background. And they were there learning how the T-38 is maintained, how it's flown, the different training programs that pilot trainees have to go through in order to become full-fledged pilots. Top left corner is from our family day. So we have, hopefully, I don't know how it's going to work this fall because of coronavirus, but typically we have a family day each fall before one of the UK football games. We have everybody's families come out, we do a barbecue and just kind of hang out and talk to each other. It's a very low-key environment and a lot of fun. The top right corner, we did breakout games last spring and as part of our leadership lab. So we tried to find ways to make things very interesting and fun. And that was a great group problem solving situation. If you've ever been in an escape room or a breakout room, they're a lot of fun, they're challenging, and just a good time. So we do different events, we try to keep it interesting, we try to change things up and make it so that it's not just useful and you learn stuff, but we actually do it in a fun environment as well. So you really enjoy being there and being in the det. So our Detachment 290 Cadre meaning the instructors, meaning the active duty members of the United States Air Force that are here and here to support you in your journey to becoming an Air Force officer, and that's our job. So we were active duty military members, we were out doing different things in the military before we came here, and after we're done here, we're gonna go back out into the military and do stuff. So currently we have 5 Cadre members, and Colonel Col Buss is leaving. She left this week, unfortunately, for her new assignment down in South America, and we wish her the absolute best. But we do have some lessons that we want to convey from her at the end of this lesson. Had a delivery. I'm at home. Life in coronavirus land. But yeah, so she is our departing commander. Lieutenant Colonel Richard Harrop is going to be our new commander, and he's going to be joining us in a month or so. So he will be the commander when you get here in the fall, and we're very much looking forward to having him on board and starting a new chapter in the Det 290 story. And Major Lindsay Philibom is our operations flight commander. So everything to do with operations like leadership lab, PT, the different trips that you can go on, all that kind of stuff falls under her control. And she's responsible for that, as well as teaching the 400s. And it's very challenging, but she does a great job. So we're very happy to have her with us. And then that's me, and I teach the 100s and 300s. And I'm also responsible for recruiting and all the education programs that we do. So all the curriculum that we teach for all the classes, I have to go through that and maintain it and manage that throughout the year. So we're all very busy, but the 3 of us at the top there are all your instructors, and Colonel Harrop will be also teaching the 200 class as well. And then at the bottom, we have our 2 support specialists. So these are 2 enlisted members of the Air Force that we have here to help us run everything very smoothly. So Technical Sergeant Benjamin Gonzalez, you'll be hearing from him over the summer regarding paperwork that you need to complete for orientation. And he's our non-commissioned officer in charge, or NCOIC, of personnel. So everything to do with your cadet account, your cadet record, anything paperwork related probably goes through him. So if you have any questions, just let him know. He can help you out. And then we have Staff Sergeant Elizabeth Sheets, and she's our NCOIC of administration. Scholarships, pay, travel, security clearances, that kind of stuff, all go through her. So we all have our different responsibilities in the unit. Okay. Now to wrap up this lesson, I just wanted to give a few lessons that I learned from Colonel Buss. I'm sad that you guys don't get to meet her. She's an incredible person, and we were so unbelievably thankful to have her with us and grateful for what she did to the detachment. She really helped build a very supportive and great culture here at the Det that we're excited for you to be a part of, because we feel like this is a great learning environment, and you're going to do great things here because of the standard that Colonel Buss set. So we're excited to meet Lieutenant Colonel Harrop and excited to see where he's going to take the Det from here. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but I wanted to leave you with some of these lessons from Colonel Buss, because this is the environment that you're coming into, and these are the expectations that we have for you as a new cadet. So first off, live outside your comfort zone. What does that mean? Well, if your comfort zone is a circle, right? And you're always living in the circle, and everything in the circle, you're comfortable, you're not being challenged, you feel good about life all the time, you're comfortable, you're content to just kind of exist in this little circle where everything's great. That's your comfort zone. You don't grow there, right? You don't improve, you don't gain new skills, you go nowhere, basically. So we have a saying, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So think of growing and learning and changing as a process that you do when you're stretching yourself a little bit. So you're stretching outside your comfort zone. You're not going so far outside your comfort zone that you're screaming and crying and upset and you can't handle life and it's just overwhelming and crazy, but you're enough out of your comfort zone where it's a little bit uncomfortable, okay? You're being challenged. That's the spot where you grow and you learn new things and you gain new skills and you gain new perspective. So live outside your comfort zone, get comfortable with being uncomfortable and challenge yourself and just learn, like, that's how you get better as a person. And that's how you're going to succeed in this program, because you can't do Air Force, you can't get to the program and you can't commission if you're never being challenged, right? You're just not going to make it. So keep that in mind and start thinking about how you might be able to do that over the summer. Start challenging yourself. It might be like you're starting a new PT program. Okay, maybe you've never done athletic type stuff in your life, but you know you need to because we have to do PT in ROTC, right? So challenging yourself and getting outside your comfort zone this summer might be you researching ways or going and getting a personal trainer if gyms are open in your area and start getting physically fit, right? That's one way that you can challenge yourself, okay? Next lesson is to be appreciative and not entitled. So this is something, and with everything here, this is a lifelong kind of continual improvement. You don't learn this lesson and you're always good at it, right? So everybody can always work on being more appreciative and not entitled, and myself included. And it's just an attitude to have. So don't come into Air Force ROTC and don't come into college thinking that the world owes you anything. Be thankful for the opportunities that you've been given, and be thankful for the opportunity to be a part of college and get an education, and be appreciative to be a part of ROTC and to try this out and see how you're going to do. And just don't act like you're entitled to things and people should give you things and people should, you know, give you the best rating out of all the cadets because you think you have, you know, better skills or better experiences than somebody else. You kind of have to earn that. It's like a respect thing. So being appreciative, just knowing that, hey, not everybody has this opportunity that you have, it's a great thing, and just embody that, really. Be humble and approachable. Very important, because I think if you feel like ROTC should be full metal jacket style military training that you see in the movies, it's not that, okay? So people think through the movies sometimes that you have to be a really hardcore, yelly type of person, right? You just yell at people all the time. That's not the case. In fact, being a leader in the military is much more important to be humble about your accomplishments and be humble about your rank, because again, as a second lieutenant, a brand new college graduate, you're going to be leading and automatically outrank 80% of the Air Force. You're going to outrank people that have 30 years of service in the Air Force, right? So that's pretty crazy. So be humble about everything as much as possible. And being approachable. So again, being in the military, being in ROTC is not about how much you can yell at somebody. That's not how you lead. That's just yelling at people, right? That's not leadership. So being approachable, I can tell you from 10 years of experience on active duty, that is so incredibly important to be approachable as a leader. Because you will not ever know if you're the one person that your troop can talk to about an issue, okay? And you need to know, like, people need to feel comfortable coming up to you and saying that they need help, whether it's work-related or not work-related, okay? So if people can't talk to you because they feel like you're intimidating and you're mean, or you're just not a nice person and they don't want to deal with you, then you can't help them, okay? And if it's a personal issue, you just need to be able to hear people out and let them come and talk to you about stuff. If it's a work-related issue, the mission might fail because your troops don't trust you and don't feel like they can come talk to you about the problem. So the mission might not be done at all, in which case now you have to answer to your boss and their boss about why this thing failed, because your leadership style is not conducive to a good work environment. And then finally, feedback is a gift. So feedback meaning the critiques that you're going to get here in the program. You're going to be evaluated all the time, whether you're in class or not in class. Okay, if you're just hanging around the detachment or hanging around before leadership lab, you're being watched all the time. And that's everybody. That's freshman through senior. Everybody's being watched and evaluated all the time. And you're going to get feedback on stuff that you did well. You're going to get feedback on stuff that you didn't do well. Okay, don't blow off the stuff that you didn't do well because you only want to hear the good stuff. You can't live life that way, and you can't succeed in this program. And you can't be in the Air Force if you only want to hear good stuff. That is just not how it works. Again, you get better outside your comfort zone, right? You also get better by knowing what you need to work on. So feedback you're going to get formally from your POC commander every semester, and then more informally, kind of like on the spot and right away, pretty much every week, right? So as you go through these different leadership exercises, you're going to get feedback each week on how you did, what you could do better, what was good, and your teammates are going to give you feedback too. And that can be hard to hear feedback from your peers, right? But it's so valuable because that's how you get better. That's how you identify the weak areas and fix them. So feedback is a gift, and try not to take it personally. Try not to be angry about it if it's something that you don't really want to hear. And if it is something that you want to hear, like, great, take that, hold on to it. But also know that you still have work to do, and there's still going to be points where you probably get some not as great feedback that you need to improve upon. So just because you got great feedback this one time doesn't mean that you don't still have areas that you need to fix. So just some parting lessons from Colonel Buss. Just want to thank her again for being such an amazing leader for our detachment over the years, and wishing her the best of luck in the next chapter of her Air Force career. So we're going to miss her. We're excited for Lieutenant Colonel Harrop, for him to get on board and take this place to the next level and build on what Colonel Buss has established here at Det 290. So again, this summer, keep these lessons in mind, and keep these lessons in mind for your entire 4 years of the program, and really your entire 4 years of college, because these are important life lessons that are really just going to help shape your experience here at UK, at Det 290, at everything. So that's it. Those are what I want to leave you with. Print the slide out, put it on your wall, and keep looking at it throughout the year, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so this wraps up the first lesson in the Air Force ROTC Summer Orientation Series. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know it's a lot of information, and I know there are a lot of videos, but again, watch all the videos in their entirety. And if you have questions, that's my email there. If you have any, you can reach out. Again, I recommend watching all the videos just to make sure your question doesn't get answered in the videos. And if they don't, then reach out to me. And you can also reach out to your cadet mentor as well. So again, looking forward to meeting you. Thank you so much for watching this, and can't wait to see you guys in the fall. And thanks for watching.